Well, this is an update to the first heads up I produced a couple of days ago. I told you at that time there were a couple of weather systems worth watching, wintry type weather systems, and now that we're a little bit closer to the first one, as you might expect, we have a little bit greater understanding, a little more resolution. Let's start with the overall view. This is the GFS deterministic model, and this is one run from 18C today, or noon, and I'm looking at the 500 millibar chart and also vorticity. So where you see the colors, the more intense colors, the darker the color, the more spin there is, and you can roughly interpret that as lifting motion in the atmosphere, where we could wring out any moisture that's available and produce precipitation. And then we'll look at some other things to try to figure out what type of precipitation that'll be. But this will give you the overall view. So we're starting here with the view this afternoon, and you see this series of little disturbances out here over the Pacific, ready to come ashore in Southern California and northern Mexico. That's the first system we're going to be looking at here today. So what we'll do is just kind of advance the time scale here and get this going here. And the first of these systems comes in, it looks like Monday late in the day. So here's Monday about noon, not much going on yet. But then we get to about dinner time on Monday, and you'll notice there's just a couple of areas here. This is almost kind of a sheared out system. It's not as organized as the one downstream that you see there south of California, but this is going to produce some, I think, lighter precipitation. Again, it's not a very intense storm system, but it is capable of doing something. As we go into the evening hours on Monday, it gets a little more pronounced, a little more rotation in this. And then on Tuesday during the day, here's Tuesday morning, and then we have this a little bit more potent, what we call shortwave right here, that's going to be overtaking the area. So I don't think the precipitation necessarily comes to an end. In fact, it actually, I think, is a little bit better chance on Tuesday, the way this is looking now. And then we go ahead a little bit more here. Let's go through the loop here. This is Tuesday evening. It kind of passes us by. So we're looking at this area right here. That's going to move to the east a little bit and give us a slight break. But I'm sure you've already noticed that over California, this is a pretty intense little system right here. And in meteorological circles, this is a short wave digging into a long wave trough. Tell your friends about that. Anyway, so that's a deepening weather system. So that's concerning for not only more widespread and heavier precipitation, but its positioning also will determine where the winter precipitation lines are drawn. So this is very interesting. And if I advance this a little bit more now, we'll go to, let's see, this is going to be coming up on Wednesday morning. If I can get that to advance one more, there we go. Well, that's actually looping. There we go. Wednesday morning. That's why, because I had it on loop. There we go. Let's go to Wednesday morning. There we go. Right about there. That's Wednesday morning. So this is a much more impressive weather system here that's moving in. So we can't end precipitation here in the Ozarks until one thing happens, until this trough of low pressure right here clears the area. So it has to move east of us before we can be out of the woods in terms of precipitation. So clearly on Wednesday morning, we're going to spend all day Wednesday waiting for that to happen. So this is a pattern of lighter precipitation Monday night. It looks like a little bit more advanced on Tuesday perhaps than I thought 2 days ago. And then Wednesday, we're still very much in the game. And just for fun, I'll just advance this a little bit more. And look what's happening out over California this weekend. Look at that rotation in that storm coming ashore at San Francisco right there. That's Friday morning right there. So this system right here is kind of a doozy, really. That's going to be interesting. That could produce a whole host of severe weather once it comes ashore and comes over the Great Plains. But we'll take the first 3 days of this coming work week, take that first, and then we'll worry about that one here as we get a little bit closer to this event. Now we're going to take a look at a more local picture and see how some of these precipitation areas are being laid out. Same model, the Global Forecast System model, or GFS. Now we're zoomed in on the Great Plains a little bit more. And a couple of features here. This was initialized today. We see a nice little ridge of high pressure right here. That's providing us with, again, this continuation of, I'd rather it snowed, actually. I don't like this cloudy, persistent drizzle kind of weather. But anyway, at least snow is pretty and it's nice to look at. Freezing rain, I've said this before, nobody wins with that. And there might be some in the Ozarks, especially as we go through this map here. So this is what it looked like this morning. So now what we'll do is just kind of advance the frames here and see when all the fun starts. So we'll go through here. This is Monday morning. Nothing yet. And then we start getting some snow breaking out about Monday afternoon. And there's also a boundary here where there's a rain, snow, and maybe a little bit of mix right there. Again, we're recording this on Saturday. This is going to be happening a full 2 days from now. So there's still some tweaking that needs to happen with where the lines are drawn on winter precipitation versus rain. But certainly this is shown up as being right over the Ozarks. And these are the ones that forecasters like myself love. We can't say it's solidly snow. It's hard to describe in a way, because not only could it be different in different parts of the Ozarks, but it could change with time too. So this is always fun. But this is, as I was saying on the first set of graphics, this is going to be lighter at first, but we're also looking at extended play with this, I think, into Tuesday. So if we indeed look at this a little bit more into the future, this is Tuesday morning. You'll notice it's still precipitating, and some of the green blobs, the rain, have gotten more intense, so there's more moisture feeding into this. There's more widespread snow. This can be traced all the way back to the Texas Panhandle and all across southern Missouri and even into central Missouri. So this is continuing to go. So if you go to the day on Tuesday, there's noon on Tuesday, so some more intense precipitation bands showing up there. We're just looking for the Ozarks right here. So we've got the purple color is sleet, which is just like snow pellets in a way. It's actually not slippery like ice, but that orange kind of color, reddish color, that could be freezing rain, then rain south of that. And then we just kind of keep going here on Tuesday. And finally, that particular system leaves the building on Tuesday evening for the most part. But you notice there's still some light snow out through Kansas. I think it looks like upslope precipitation there, where the winds are going up the slope of Kansas, basically, as it increases in elevation. Often rings out at the very least fog, sometimes drizzle, sometimes light snow like this. Okay, so now the next weather system, let's keep advancing this here. This becomes a pretty good snow through Kansas. This right here is Wednesday morning now. And so this is Wednesday at about noon. So again, you remember when I was telling you that weather system was digging and it might bring more warm air up? Well, what's happening here is there's warm air aloft, but still cold air at the surface. So the translation of that is to produce more freezing rain. So again, the warm layers above are making it rain, but it's falling into a surface temperature that hasn't recovered yet. So it still is possibly below freezing, and that's what's causing that. And then meanwhile, we're looking at a pretty good snow developing here in a band from Wichita all the way through central Missouri. So that map is valid on Wednesday at about noon time. And then we just can keep advancing through this, and we'll see what happens with this particular storm. Still a little bit of backlash snow. And finally, once that weather system leaves, we can finally get a rest before that big one I was showing you in California shows up. But that's later in the weekend before that comes out into the plains. But at least that's a look at the GFS model. We can look at other models too. There's a European model. I did look at that, and it doesn't look a whole lot different. So again, some resolution on this. So it looks like a 3-day event with the precipitation. I know it sounds weird. It's actually warming. So freezing rain is actually considered a slightly warmer condition than snow is, if that makes any sense. But it just means there's warmer air aloft. So that's how we're going to, I think, progress through this Monday through Wednesday, with the heavier precipitation due in here on Wednesday, whatever form it takes across the Ozarks. And of course, everyone wants to look at what the models think the snow totals will be. Again, take this with a grain of salt, but we will run through this. And first, we'll start with this first system here and let this kind of go here through the motions. We start seeing some snow show up. Again, this is between, let's say, Saturday and Monday. So this is just getting started on Monday evening. So heavier snows up to the north, lighter snow totals, half-inch in Springfield. Tuesday, this is Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. So we got some higher totals down to the south. But again, this banding, I wouldn't take a lot of this seriously yet, because that type of detail I don't think is known. But if you just want to broad brush this, the first little wave there is capable of probably about a 1 to 3 inch total across the Ozarks. Then if we continue to move on, this is going to keep accumulating the snow. So you can see during the day on Tuesday, this ends basically Tuesday evening. We're definitely, again, the details of these little bands right here, I just don't think the GFS model is capable of that kind of accurate resolution. But again, it does show you a tendency for it to pick up a little bit more on Tuesday, and so some snow totals might be laid down a total more along the 4-inch range in some areas. That's completely possible. And then the last thing we'll look at, and remember, the more we go out in time, the less accurate this is, but it did show that tendency for one thing to happen for that digging system, the stronger one on Wednesday, to move the snow north. Remember, the entire system was kind of warming from this direction, so it's sending the snow up to the north and to the northwest, where we're seeing 8 to 12-inch totals possible. Okay, that's a one model run, so I wouldn't take that a whole lot seriously, but the overall trend, I think, is looking good. And while we're at it, let's see what this model has to say about ice accumulation here. We'll run through this real quick, and I think I'll just grab the slider bar on this one instead of going through here. So again, on that first wave right there, this is getting into the overnight hours of Tuesday, and this is Tuesday afternoon. We see the icing occurring, and it could possibly be influenced by elevation there, and then it kind of spreads. Again, I wouldn't take any pinpoint very accurately, but I would take the overall trend, especially here on Wednesday, to move that freezing rain band up a little bit. Remember that there's warming occurring in the middle part of the atmosphere in this direction here, so that's what's allowing the snow to move to this area more back here, at least the way it looks now, with the freezing rain band a little more widespread and to the south and east. So that's the latest update here. For heads up, I will bring you another one maybe on Sunday, tomorrow, if things really radically change, but certainly look forward to one on Monday. Have a great rest of your weekend. Go Chiefs, and we'll talk to you in the next video.